Welcome to Catholic Views. I'm your host, Renee Kranz. On today's show, we will have Archbishop Thomas Gullickson in the studio with us. We invited him back to talk about divine mercy. It is Divine Mercy Sunday this weekend. So we wanted to have him come in and talk about mercy in general, divine mercy, how it all happened. And it's always fun to have Archbishop Gullickson here. He's just the coolest. I think he's one of the most fun bishops, especially when you get to know him a little bit. He's got a good personality.
He does.
That voice you hear over there is Dr. Chris Bergwald. We're going to have some biblical bites with Dr. B, and we don't have a ton of time.
Not a ton of time. Diving right in, you already said it's Divine Mercy Sunday, so the second Sunday of Easter. Yep. Of how many again, by the way?
How many Sundays of Easter? 8.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. The 8th one is called what?
Pentecost.
Oh, wow. All right, diving in, because we don't have time for that silliness. Okay. The gospel is about Jesus telling, so Thomas the doubter who becomes Thomas the believer.
Yep.
All I want to say about the gospel is pull up. There's a painting called The Incredulity of Saint Thomas. A print of it is hanging on my office, as Renee knows. I love this. It's a very vivid portrayal of this scene.
It's really beautiful.
But I want to talk about the first reading.
Okay.
So the first reading is from Acts. So the Sunday readings in Easter. The first reading at Mass on Sundays and Easter is from Acts of the Apostles.
Okay.
So this week we hear this. The community of believers was of one heart and mind, and no one claimed that any of his possessions was his own, but they had everything in common. With great power, the apostles bore witness to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great favor was accorded them all. There was no needy person among them, for those who owned property or houses would sell them, bring the proceeds of the sale, and put them at the feet of the apostles, and they were distributed to each according to need. So, Renee, when you hear that, there's a couple different themes in there, to me at least, that are interesting, but anything strike you about the reading?
Well, that's always the reading that many people use to make socialism okay.
Right. Right. Or socialism or communism. Yeah. But what's the difference? So just on that point, what's the difference between those economic or political systems and what we read there?
Scale is one difference.
And
religion is part of it. Faith.
It's voluntary.
Yeah, that
it's
too.
Not imposed.
It's voluntary.
They're choosing. But I do think it's worth. So but let's not completely. Okay. In rejecting maybe a misapplication of the passage, we should still recognize the fact that the community of believers cared for one another.
Right. Yep.
They did in some cases sell their belongings so those who were in need in their midst had enough. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to be careful being too hasty of that
Agreed.
does not endorsement of socialism or communism.
Don't you dare help your neighbor.
Right, exactly. But the other thing, just a little bit we have left in the middle of this, with great power, the apostles bore witness to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. To me, that's one way to summarize missionary discipleship.
Oh yeah.
Do you bear witness to the power of the resurrection in our own lives? No, we didn't see Jesus rise from the dead, but do we see him in our lives today and bear witness to that?
Yeah, I hope we do.
Amen.
Thanks, Dr. B.
You bet.